So, God, thank you for your love and your fun time with music with us. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. So, thank you, God. Amen. So, I'm here also to introduce the wonderful power couple and just wonderful people, I must say. Mr. Gregory Bender and Mrs. Angela Bender. Please give a round of applause.
Hi. That's so fun. I love that song. I love that you heard it for a really long time as the Lord singing to you, Joss. That's so who you are. And so what you contribute to this space is your awareness of God's grand love affair for you always. It's hilarious because I often share things that God is reteaching me because I grew up in the evangelical faith, as some of you did, and so some of those things that God's just shifting my perspective on. And the best part about it is Jocelyn goes, "What are you talking about? Why would anybody see it that way?" She's just totally oblivious, and I'm like, I love that you never had that experience. And nobody intended negative. It was never meant to be negative. It's just what my lens and my perspective did with certain teachings. But I so love that Jocelyn just goes, I have no idea how that's even possible. I would love water. Thanks, baby.
Is this your book?
Yay, it is my book.
Okay.
Hooray, thanks. So, you want to say hello, baby?
Hi.
Hello, baby. Did you dance? I was so busy dancing myself, I didn't even look to see if you were. I thought you might be. In my heart, I felt you were. I felt you were. It's kind of like what my mom used to say about my oldest sister, which I have something exciting to share with you. But my oldest sister, I would say, I don't think she likes me. She would say, deep down in her heart, she really does love you. And right? And we're like, who wants that love? Who wants the love that you have to like trust deep down in their heart somebody loves you, you know, but you really can't feel the expression of it. I think I lived most of my way in life with God like that. I don't know, I'm just saying. So on the note of sisters, I want to introduce, I'm so excited. So my sister, my oldest sister, who's really kind of more like a twin to me. In fact, in childhood, I don't know what I look like as a kid, but I know what she looked like. And that's like actually how I see all of my childhood is through her eyes and through her responses and expressions to all of life. So this is my sister Melanie, who will tell you that she's 2 years,
2 months,
2 months, 2 days, 2 hours. No, 2 hours, just 20 minutes. She used to make it into like 2 millennia, 2000. I don't know why that bugged me. It so totally did. Anyway, so this is my sister Melanie. Yay, who's here? Hooray. So make sure you say hello to her. And then Tom is over here sitting with their kids, and Noah and Elena, and we're super, super glad. So they're like amazing. You'll get to know them better. But my awesome brother-in-law, and then Nona, yeah, yay. Okay, so, all right, sorry. That was all the awkwardness you could handle.
We can dish out more.
We can do so much. It's just beginning. You have no idea. We've been planning about this for so long. But I'd love to hear from those of you who feel like God is doing something in your life that you would like to take a moment and share with the rest of us, something that you feel like God has been teaching you. I talked to many of you during the week, so I know there are many of you. But you just share how you want to. No pressure there, except there is. No, no, just kidding. So take a moment to collect your thoughts. And in the meantime, what I'd like to do is look at our art with God. So do any of our kids want to share what they drew and why, or we'll just put it up for people to see? I don't know who's this. Greg, do you know who this one was? This one here?
Who did I see over there? But I only glanced, so I'm not sure. I'm thinking it was it Genevieve?
Yay!
Was it yours?
No, right here. Do you want?
See, I'm totally wrong.
Do you want to ask her if you want to share about it?
Hi.
Hi.
Would you like to share about what you drew?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
You want to tell us about it?
Yes.
Fantastic.
What were you thinking when you drew it?
Jesus died on a cross for just saving us.
Yeah. That is so good. I'm loving and digging how detailed that is. Super great. And there's all kinds of love surrounding. And is there grass down below? And a sky up above? That is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yay.
Do you see what happened there? I asked closed-ended questions and I got closed-ended answers. My wife, however, asked the open-ended question. Got a perfect response
But
there.
we're all learning. We all have our things. Like, for example, I could not figure out how to hear my nephew's Bluetooth awesome rap music, so Greg fixed that for me. I'm still just as stupid as I was beforehand because I didn't pay attention to doubt how he did it. But I did get to tell you this week about how to ask more open-ended questions of your peers and employees.
Yes.
And you said that was helpful to you.
That was helpful.
Yes. So that was really fun. Okay, so we have a bike over here. Is he like giving looks behind my back totally?
Only to Tom. Nobody else saw.
Okay, there is a bromance over there, just so you know. Don't be jealous.
It burns with an infinity.
It burns with an infinity intensity. Somebody drew this one. Does that person want to share about what they wrote and drew? Darby, would you like to share? You're okay?
Okay.
So she drew a bike, and it says, sometimes fear is like riding a bike. And then, was there something else you wanted to share with that? You're okay? Yeah. Okay. So she had a really cool other thing that she wanted to share, but you just have to ask her about it later. So I thought it was really, and she was drawing it, and she goes, I don't know how to draw a bike. I said, just let the Holy Spirit help you. And just did a super great job. Yay. Do we have any over here? Jared, anybody over here who wants to share about their art? Sometimes we have lots, sometimes we have none. So
I think it's still. I think it's in process.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We have another sharing. Oh, awesome! We have one. Excellent. Okay. Do you want to share about it? Fantastic. Go ahead, David.
There's Jesus and there's somebody that's saying, wow, how can you fly? And then there's grass and there's the sun and there's some windies.
Who asked the question, how can you fly? Did Jesus ask that question or the other person?
The other person.
The other person asked Jesus, how can you fly? I am asking that question all the time. Seriously, that's like one of the best questions ever. God, how do you do what you do? Show me how. That's so good. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Nope.
Nope, that's it? Okay.
They also have different skin.
And they have different skin.
skins.
Excellent.
There we go.
I know, right? I love it. Good job. All right. Does anybody want to share what they feel like God's doing in their life right now? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, Linz does. Kristen's going to go second. Oh, the pressure.
So this week at my tribe, we learned about, what are we calling that prayer?
Centering prayer.
What is it?
Centering prayer.
Okay. So I practiced it this week.
Excellent.
And it's about releasing thoughts as they come in and releasing them, and I've never done that. And so I don't know what happened other than I was releasing. I was very calm. I was very peaceful. And then I was just sobbing uncontrollably. And I was going, why am there was no reason.
Yep.
I wasn't thinking of anything sad. It wasn't an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt stupid and silly because I'm like, I don't know what was happening. But all I know is what I was done. I had so much joy on the other side of it. And like, there was like joy. And I was like, I have no idea what just happened. I wasn't even like really part of it, but I felt like something shifted.
Oh, beautiful.
So that was fun.
we're actually going to be talking about centering prayer tonight. I wasn't sure that I would do that. I rarely do a back-to-back with my tribe in here, but we're actually going to be talking a little bit more about that. So we'll unwrap that a little bit more, Lindsay, which is super, super fun. I'm so glad you got to have a really cool experience with that, and we'll talk more about it. And yay! Okay. Thanks, Kristen.
So the scans that we had this week all came back fine. Yeah. And I talked to Angie, was it Tuesday? Maybe?
Somewhere.
Yeah, it was Tuesday. And she just talked to me about how God, that trust is a gift that he wants to give us. That might not have been Tuesday. I don't know. Whatever. We talked about it sometime. And I was like, oh my gosh. So every time I would get a little anxious about whatever, I would just be like, God, give me trust. And he would just do that. And it was good. So I have to reteach myself not to say, I'm learning how to trust God, because actually I'm learning how to ask him for trust instead. That was good.
Yes, that's so good. It's such a switch to stop thinking of we're developing something within ourselves to relate to God, but instead he wants to give us the very thing that we give back to him, and it just turns everything right side up, and it puts it on him to do for and with us what he always meant to do. In fact, the example that we had that the Lord wanted to give to you, Kristen, I thought was so beautiful. He said, you know, who gives your kids money to buy Christmas gifts for you as parents? You know, and it's of course you do. And it's no less their gift that it is sourced by the parent who's wanting to teach the kid how to participate in the joy of giving. And that's so how God wants to relate to us, is going, I need you to understand the source of your trust, the source of your faith, even the source of your joy doesn't come from you or your ability to rationalize your circumstances, but it is a gift that I give to you that you then give back to me. And so if you're lacking in faith, if you're lacking in trust, if you're lacking in wisdom, he's saying, ask me for it, I will give it to you so that you can give it to me. It helps us connect with, we're not cultivating within ourselves something, we are receiving the gift of his very nature so that we become like him. So anyway, so cool, right? Yeah. Okay, thanks, Kristen. Yeah, Anne's going to share. Oh, sorry, honey. And we wonder why he doesn't talk, because I jump in before he ever has a chance.
I'm going to stand up if you don't mind, because I like to look at people's eyes. It gives me more courage.
Yay.
Anyway, I had a really life-changing experience this week, and and it was similar emotionally to what you described. That's what gave me the courage to share it just now, is your story. Anyway, after 41 years of being in relationships with my husband, that relationship is now dissolved. And that was both overwhelmingly, like there was a moment of just overwhelming thankfulness for the way in which it was finally completed, and also an overwhelming like wave of, it was kind of like a tidal wave hit me, and I didn't know which emotion was more real, the one that was crying or the one that was smiling and thankful. But anyway, it was just a moment. It was just a moment. And it was a moment in which I knew God was partnering with me. And it was like this huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And anyway, I know normally you don't rejoice over things like that, but I just want to let you guys know that I'm actually super excited about the way in which God is partnering with me right now. Even my name, I went to Social Security office and changed my name this week. And so I'm no longer Ann Boyd. So if you want to change your phones, it's Ann Monroe, M-O-N-R-O-E, for those who need to know. And my initials used to be AB, you know, the beginning of the alphabet, AB. Well, now they're AM. And God just said, just as I am, you also partner with me to be the I am. So I don't know exactly what that means, but I just felt so overwhelmed with breath of fresh air and newness and thankfulness and an overwhelming like release of something that had been really heavy for a long time. So, thank you.
Whoa, that's so good.
So yesterday I had a baseball game, and when I was going up to bat, it was like the last inning, and when I got up, I was like shaking, really scared, and 2 balls got past me, and they were both strikes, and then once I was getting ready, I heard my team cheering me on, and so once the pitcher threw the ball, I smacked it, went under the first baseman's legs and all the way to the back of the field, and so I hit the winning run because there was already a person on third, and so I got the game ball for the game.
That's like the best moment ever. I do not have those moments in sports in my own memory, but I'm super enjoying yours. That's so fun. Yay! Yay! That's so cool. Anyone else want to share? So I'm going to move on then, and I'm going to talk for just a minute before we release the kids about something happened in my life where God totally changed our relationship. And I don't know if you've had this happen to you yet. Many of your parents are kind of in this process where our relationship with God is kind of an unfolding, changing thing. I mean, do some of you guys have a relationship with someone that's kind of changed? Like maybe a best friend, right? Or maybe a teacher or a parent or a sibling or someone else, and the relationship has changed. And you're trying to figure out like how that relationship has changed. Well, that happened to me. And how it happened was I was praying one time. I was actually driving Mr. Greg's truck. And I know, like, shocking. I don't know, it's like 1 out of 5 times maybe ever, the sacred truck. And were you going to say something on that? Didn't want to jump. Okay. And I remember I was praying for some friends. And I was kind of like, oh, Lord, they're in so much pain right now. Would you just be with them? Would you just love them and hold on to them? And I remember hearing a voice in my head that was not my own, and so that's either the Lord or not the Lord. And this voice said, could you stop praying like that for like ever? And I was really shocked. And so I knew that it wasn't me because that thought had never crossed my mind before. And I said, what do you mean stop praying like that? And I felt like God said to me in my head, he said, you are begging me to do stuff as if I do not care. You are begging me to care for people like as if you have a better clue and more love for them than I do. And he said, it's as if you don't even know who I am, how you pray. And I went, well, I think I have no clue who you are. And in that moment, my relationship changed. Because I realized that the person that I had started to get to know in my life was maybe someone different. Maybe that's happened to you. And so I kind of drive home going, I don't know how to pray anymore then. I'm so used to praying the way that I've heard other people pray, and I'm so used to praying the way I've always prayed. And to start this new conversation, actually talking to God as if he is magnificent and caring and amazing and fully involved and fully intimate with all of us, I don't even know how to pray that way. Anybody been there with me? In fact, many of you know Jill Benalio. Love her, just talked to her yesterday. She misses being here. And when I first shared this story with her, she was like this. Or I was like, do you want to say something? And she's like, I pray like that all the time. And I have thoroughly taught my kids over the last year to pray like that all the time. And I've been super proud of myself that I have taught my kids to tell God what to do as if he's an idiot. And she goes, I don't even know how to pray. And I'm like, I know, welcome to the club. And I didn't feel like the Lord gave me any permission to talk about how to pray after that, like none. So she calls me the next day and she says to me, without even saying who she is, I am really mad at you. And I said, I'm sorry to hear that. She goes, I don't even want to talk to you. Well, you called me. What am I supposed to do with that? And so somehow I had the wherewithal to say, well, if you were going to talk to me, what would you say? And she says, you have wrecked my whole relationship with God. I have no idea how to talk to him now. and I have no idea what to do, and I'm totally discombobulated. Oh, we're totally good. It's all good. And so it's fine. We're fine. That's like why we do this thing with kids together, because this is the way it rolls. I love it. We love it. So good. I mean, you made our time together so much better by sharing. It was so good. Thank you. So anyway, and so I said, well, she goes, so, since, I don't know, 48 hours before, she says, I've been really thinking a lot about this praying thing, and since I have no idea how to talk to God, I just sat there for a really long time. And she goes, and then I decided, well, maybe I could just, I don't know, thank him for the things that he's probably already doing. I'll do that, right? And I was so mad at her. I was so mad at her because it took me 6 months to figure that out. 6 months of just sitting there being quiet before the Lord before it occurred to me. I know, I'm sorry. I'm apparently not the sharpest tack in the box. But it took me 6 months of just sitting, waiting, wanting to have a conversation with God before it occurred to me, why don't I just thank him for being amazing, and maybe he'll even tell me what he's already doing, and then I can agree with what he's already doing that I may not even know about. And in 48 hours, she already had that. How cool is that, right? That God is just moving us at this pace of relationship and intimacy. And when we open a door for someone, many of us have already done this, right? When we open a door of our journey with God for someone else, they go through it so much faster. Right? And so instead of being jealous, we can be joyful that that was part of our gift to give away. Don't be mad. Be glad that our gift was complete and beautiful. And then when someone else has a gift to give us, we don't have to be jealous of the gift we know they are to give us. We can celebrate that they took a long time to give us something we can enter into quickly. So yay! Okay, so I know some of our kids went because it was a little bit squirrely, but I'm going to now release the rest of you amazing giants, you heroes, you magnificent kids, including my own. And Miss Christie's going to take you somewhere to do something that we love. And will we see you back or no? We don't know? Yes? Oh, well, I mean, well, we did talk about selling them somewhere. Okay.
10 after?
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, you want to go have fun. It's going to be awesome. Okay. What? Miss Alicia's got it. She currently has 7 children. Yeah. I mean, kicking booty and taking names is what that woman's doing.
Kristen's sitting over here a bit jealous.
Kristen only has 5. We at Karis only have 2. We're
Lindsay's I'm holding strong at 4.
Yeah. Seriously. We got 3. Okay.
Got 3.
All right.
Who's somebody's got 3?
Aaron's got 3.
There we go. Aaron's got 3.
Okay. Moving on the kid thing. Okay. Any thoughts or comments so far? Anybody want to share? We're gonna have fun. Nobody? Really? Wow. All right. So we've been talking about alignment. So I'm gonna have Greg put it back up on the board.
Oh, I know what to do.
You know what to do?
50 weeks in a row.
50 weeks in a row. It's so fresh and alive. So we've been talking, I love that, thank you. 50 weeks in a row. Dan's totally not. Okay, so for those of you who have been here, we've been talking about alignment, which is the expressions of ourselves coming into alignment, who we are. So if you can remember, we talked about the expressions of ourselves are our beliefs, our what? What else? Feelings, thoughts, actions, and words. Yes! And I'm going to have Greg put beliefs up at the top of the list, and then thoughts, and then feelings, and then words, and then actions. And this was something that the Lord was showing to me about how He wants to bring us into alignment with our true selves, which is that when we find ourselves out of alignment, we find ourselves thinking thoughts that we don't know how to manage. And how many of us have said in the past, if anyone knew what I was thinking, I would be mortified because I don't want, yeah, right? So sweet. And so, or our feelings, We have said, I don't want to express my feelings, and sometimes I don't even want to know what my feelings are. And then our words and our actions, and these we have in the past, most of us tried behavior modification, thought modification, in order to bring them in line to who we think we're supposed to be. We've tried to manage it from an external place, and we've discovered that all of these expressions of ourselves are really reflecting beliefs that came into our life before the age of reason. Belief systems that we took on at 4 years old, 3 years old, 6 years old, the coping mechanisms. This is how I survive. I survive by performing. I survive by making the peace. I survive by disappearing. I survive by being invisible. I survive by making other people feel wonderful. And those belief systems are what then get later played out in the ways that we think, in the ways that we feel, in our words and our actions that are no longer aligned with who God says we really are. And it gives us an opportunity to become aware of what belief systems are counter to our true selves, so that we can fully come into alignment. And so when Greg, I love this. So what I'm going to have Greg put up here, I might just grab a marker. Shh, don't tell him. Okay, I'm sorry.
Somebody took my black one, so you stay away.
Oh, that was me too. I'm going to have you put, what we've never done, is put true self right here. Our true self is not our personality. Our true self is who God really made us to be, and our personality is an expression of our coping mechanisms combined with some level of awareness of our true selves. And I believe that our true self is described by many of us as our spirit, and it is what we get awakened to by Christ. Christ is awakening us to our true selves that is beyond our coping mechanisms and the ways that we express ourselves on this earth. And we are coming into alignment as God is allowing our true self to inform the rest of our being of who we are. So let me give you an example. It's kind of like horses, and a carriage. Horses are meant to drive the carriage. What horses you have out front are what cause the carriage to do what? It follows the horses. I believe that God always meant for our true self to be the horses that drive our life. And our beliefs and our thoughts and our feelings and our words and our actions are the carriages. It is our carriage that was meant to follow and be informed by our true self. But if we have not been awakened to our true selves, we don't even know. And if we haven't been awakened to God's perspective about us, we are left scrambling, constantly trying to navigate beliefs, thoughts, feelings, words, and actions that betray us. Right? I mean, how many of us have had that where we feel betrayed by our very own thoughts, words, actions, feelings? How many of us have people that we have negative feelings about today that we wished we didn't have? Right?
Or how about us that have negative feelings that we're glad we have right now?
Well, that's another episode. That's another night. Come back next week for that one. How many of us, yay, have words that slip out of our mouth and we go, oh, when am I going to stop doing that? And instead of stopping doing that, we can say, what does my spirit with the Spirit of God have to say that will bring my whole being into alignment with my true self? I believe that this is what God really meant, and it's what Jesus really meant, and it's what Paul really meant when he used the word repent. Because that word repent, many of us know, is metanoia, which is, I believe the best definition is think higher with God. So it wasn't, I say sorry, I'm sorry for all of these expressions of myself. No, it is, may I think higher with God so that the rest of me can come into alignment with what my spirit already knows. In fact, Ephesians, the whole first 1, 2, and 3 chapters of Ephesians, is Paul describing what it's like to have our spirit lead and inform the rest of us. And he says, we are in our spirit seated in heavenly places, having access to all spiritual blessings, meaning all spiritual authority on earth. We are seated in those heavenly places at the right hand of God right now. So our spirit is in us and seated in heavenly places at the right hand of God, being informed by God all the time. And it is that part of our being that is meant to be expressed through our thoughts, through our feelings, through our actions, through our words. How different, yeah? What? Yeah, our higher self. Our self that no longer needs to cope. Our self that no longer needs to navigate. Okay, so I'm going to talk about one of the ways that we can be in tune with and honor our true selves. And so we're going to talk about a little bit of meditation and a type of prayer that Lindsay was commenting on that kind of helps us make the choice to become aware of and to honor our spirit being that we may not have in our Western culture really become much in tune with. So there's many, many ways to do this, but we're going to talk about one of them. I love what Solomon described when he was talking about, many of you know that he asked for one thing and God loved what he asked for. What was the thing he asked for? Wisdom. Does anybody know what he actually asked for? Why don't you put wisdom on the board, would you? Do you mind?
Closeness with God.
Yeah, closeness with God. The literal translation for that word wisdom was a listening heart. An ability to listen and perceive with the heart. And many people are aware of that in Hebrew times, in the Hebrew perspective, the heart was the seat of the mind, not the brain. So people perceived that your understanding and your ability to process came from the heart. In fact, there's even crazy, and Tom, you could probably even speak to this, there's crazy studies out there with heart transplants where people are coming into the knowledge of the person whose heart was transplanted into them, of which they've never had any education. So, right? Crazy. So, I mean, you can look it up and discern for yourself, but there are people who are having these conversations that our intellect isn't solely contained in our brain, but there is some level of perception and information that is maintained in our heart. Interesting, just something to consider. Not saying it's one, super cool. So, wisdom, or Solomon was asking for a wisdom which was the ability to hear or perceive at a heart level. Not an emotional level, at a perceiving level. And so when the Lord said to me, hey, I want to redo the way we talk. I don't want you to tell me to go around like I'm a pool boy who didn't do his job right and now needs to go clean up the messes that he errantly let happen. I want you to understand what I'm doing in these situations. I want you to understand who I am and how I even let these things happen in the first place. Why did I let evil wreck this family's life? Why do I let innocent people suffer? I want you to understand my heart, and it's going to require wisdom to come into the ability to perceive how a good God can let all this junk happen and why it's happening to you and other people in your lives. It's going to require not principles, it's going to require relationship for me to speak into a place that is really beyond words, beyond rationale and reason, and beyond thought. How many of us need that? Yes. Okay, so we're going to talk about a new way of praying. And the best way to describe it, and the best description I've had, is centering prayer. Have you read this, Britt? Of course you have, right? Anybody else read it? What?
She's one of the teachers in school.
Oh, she's one of the teachers in your school? Of course she is. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so really? Okay, have you met her? How fun. fun. Okay, so I super love her. Cynthia, I'll put the link up or some point and you guys can see if you want to get this book. I love what she has to say about many, many things, but I particularly appreciated this book because the Lord led me to it to describe things that had been happening in my life that I didn't understand. Isn't that fun? So sometimes we enter into a relationship or a thing with the Lord through revelation. Sometimes we enter into it through experience. So whichever door we enter into it, we usually exit through the opposite one. So if we enter into it by information or revelation, we usually exit it by experience. If we enter into it by experience, we usually exit it by revelation, meaning understanding. So either way, we always have a revelation and understanding of what it was that we've experienced. So kind of those two things partner together. So what the Lord did for me was he gave me a whole lot of experiences, and then in reading this book, it was like, oh, this is what that actually was. How cool is that? So how many of you have practiced any form of meditation ever? Yes. So good. Yay. So some of you may be familiar with this way of doing meditation, and some of you may not, and it may be a totally new thing. When you are trying a new thing or you're becoming more focused on the thing you've already done, here's what I want to encourage you to do. Don't compare your experience with somebody else's experience. You already heard Lindsay's experience. That's going to affect the way that you think about the possibilities of your experience with this. But we have unique fingerprints and unique lives and unique relationships with God.